Hello everyone. In today's lectures, we know about the processes of weathering. So, what is weathering? In previous lectures, we know about exogenic processes. These processes helps in landform developments. What is exogenic processes? The processes which works out on the crust, outer surface of the earth, and helps in formation of landforms is called exogenic processes. And in that processes we know about the denotational processes, and under denotational processes we have weathering, mass wasting, and erosion, or we say transportation. So here we know about weathering processes. The weathering processes, what its mechanism, what its driving forces, this is most important. So if we look at the driving forces of weathering, here we have gravitational forces, and we say molecular stresses, or as well as chemical stresses. So we conclude that in weathering is a process for disintegration of rocks, and it helps in landforms developments. So now, what are the types of weathering? Basically, there are two types of weathering. First one is physical weathering, and second one is chemical weathering. In physical weathering, we have mainly what the factors which affect weathering are temperature and water, or we say precipitation. Temperature and precipitations are factors which affect weathering, physical weathering, and chemical weathering as well. So in physical weathering, we have we know about the uh, diurnal variation of temperature on the globe. As we consider in Egypt, what we know that in the city near Cairo, the rifle shots are the sounds which always we hear. These shots are comes from due to uneven hitting of the rock surfaces. As we know, rock surfaces are bad conductors of heat. So, in intense during daytime, during intense heating, the uh, outer surface warms up very much, but the inner surface are not warms up. So these variations in during night time, the crackings of the blasting sounds appears, and this is known as exfoliation. एक चटकन से आप देखेंगे होंगे कि एक रॉक सरफेस पर अगर चटक चटक के प्याज के भांति जब लेयर बाय लेयर छूटता है, अलग होता है, तो वो एक्सफोलिएशन कहलाता है. एंड सेकेंड one in physical weathering is ice crystal growth. Uh, so, in polar, subpolar areas, or we say where ice formation is prominent, when through pores, when in rocks the water goes in and it developed into ice after freezing, then the mechanism freezing and thawing occurs, and it makes pressures it makes pressures uh, that generates disintegration of rocks, uh, and These are mostly common in subpolar Arctic areas. Or again, third one is the crystallization of salts. The salts, the salts are important components of the earth. Many types of salts like our common salt NaCl that we eat, or we say gypsum, calcium sulfate, or sodium carbonate. These all enter into the pores and after pores of the rocks, and after crystallization and drying out, it expands in volume and makes pressure, and that forces act as disintegrating forces for rock surfaces and helps in weathering. So we know about temperature and precipitations are main factors of weathering. And first one exfoliation, second one freezing and thawing, and third one that is crystallization of salts. And now, uh, do you know about chemical weathering? Chemicals are important ones that make up the internal uh, structure of any particles, rocks. So, in chemical weathering, the uh, water and temperature, mainly in humid region, these types of weathering are prominent on the globe, on the surface of the earth. So, we have in chemical weathering uh, basically we know about solution and carbonation, hydration. Okay, again uh, so one by one we see here that in what is chemical weathering? Chemical weathering is a group of chemical processes in which there is what we say solution, carbonation, hydration, oxidation, and reduction. Acts on the rocks to decompose, dissolve, or reduce them to a fine plastic slate through chemical reactions of oxygen, surface or soil, water, and other acids. So one by one we know about these processes. Solution, uh, some when smooth something is dissolved in water or acids. Water or acids with dissolved content are called solution. This process involves removal of salts, solids in solution and depends upon solubility of minerals in water or weak acids. This is solution. Solution, something have capability to dissolve and with water or any liquid that form solution. Uh, we have one common now we have carbonation. Carbonation is a processes, chemical weathering processes when the carbon dioxide that is present in our atmosphere uh, combined with water, it forms carbonic acid. And what are the nature of carbonic acid H2CO3 is that it dissolve calcium carbonate as well as calcium bicarbonate. Calcium carbonate and magnesium carbonate are dissolved in carbonic acid. calcium carbonate and magnesium carbonate are dissolved in carbonic acid, or it helps to form caverns. Generally, we see in karst topography in Yugoslavia region. And the third one of chemical weathering processes are hydration. What is hydration? Hydration is the chemical addition of water. Chemical addition of water. Minerals take off water and expand. This expansion causes forces uh, on the materials itself or rocks. Examples we see calcium sulfate takes in water and turns to gypsum. When calcium sulfate takes in water, it turns to gypsum, and gypsum are very unstable in nature. So here disintegration of rocks occurs, chemical weathering occurs. Many clay minerals swell or contract. Many clay minerals swell and contract during wetting and drying, and the repetition of these processes results in cracking of overlying materials. So we see about hydration processes, and now one of the most important processes of chemical weathering are oxidation and reduction. Many uh, elements many elements have properties to oxidized in presence of have properties to react with oxygen. The In weathering, oxidation means a combination of a mineral with oxygen to form oxides or hydroxides. In oxidation, many minerals combines with or elements combines with oxygen and forms oxides or hydroxides. Generally, we see iron when combined with met with oxygen, it forms its color changes from red to bluish, brown, or yellowish color. When oxidized minerals are placed in an environment where oxygen is absent, then reduction takes place, and such conditions exist usually below the water table in a stagnant water and waterlogged ground surfaces. And here, red color of iron upon reduction uh, changes from red color to greenish or bluish color, gray. So all these, if we conclude all these processes of chemical weathering, that hydration, oxidation, reduction, uh, carbonation, these all act with a commonly, or these all processes are interrelated. So we conclude with our this lecture that we remind weathering, disintegration of rocks, the mechanism which the driving forces are gravitational forces, chemical properties, chemical or molecular stresses, chemical stresses or molecular stresses. And we have physical weathering, chemical weathering. In physical weathering, we saw about exfoliation, freezing and thawing, and uh, also a crystallization of salts. In chemical weathering, we know about solution, uh, carbonation, oxidation, and reduction, and all these. So, thank you.